Your wife is not broken. She's not being difficult. She's not punishing you for the sake of it. She's doing something far more calculated than that. She is predicting you. And the brutal part, she's not wrong. I'm Noah Allen, and today I'm going to break down the number one rule if you want her to stop seeing you as the same guy. Not the guy who's trying harder, not the guy who went to therapy, or even the guy who reads books and says the right things. The same guy underneath all of it. Because here is what nobody in the marriage advice space is even talking about. Trust is not the first wall standing between you and getting your wife back. Prediction is. Before she can trust you again, she has to stop being able to predict exactly how you will fail her. And most men never understand that. So they keep doing the right things in the wrong moments. And she stays closed. And they wonder why nothing is working. So today we're going all the way to the root. And we're going to talk about what is actually happening inside your wife's mind when she looks at you and feels nothing. We're going to talk about why your effort isn't moving her. And we're going to talk about the one rule that changes the entire equation. So stay with me because this one matters. Before I go any further though, if you're watching this right now and your wife is cold, checked out, or she already said that she wants out, I want you to stop for a second. Go to the link in the description below and book a free call with me and my team. We're going to look at your situation, not in general terms, in your specific situation, where you are in the process, what is actually driving her decision, and whether the heroic husband method is the right fit for you. The call costs you nothing but your time. And if you're the kind of man who has been trying to solve this alone for months or years, you already know that going it alone is not working. The link is right below in this video. Book your spot, then come back and keep watching. Okay, let's talk about the prediction model. Here is what I need you to understand. Your wife is not guessing about you anymore. She stopped guessing years ago. What she has now is something much more powerful. She has a case file. Think about how a detective works. They do not decide who is guilty based on one incident. They study patterns, they track behaviors, and they pay close attention to what happens when the pressure goes up. And after enough evidence, they stop theorizing and they just start knowing. Your wife is that detective. And she has built that case file for 5, 7, even 10 years. Every time that you shut down an argument, every time that you raise your voice or went cold and quiet, every time that she came to you carrying something heavy and you minimized it, dismissed it, or redirected it back to logic. Every time she reached for you and you were not really there. Her brain cataloged every single one. And what the brain does with that data is build a prediction model, not a conscious thought, a deep subconscious knowing. When this happened, he does this. When she pushes back, he does that. When I bring up the real pain, here is how he handles it. And that prediction runs automatically now. So when you show up calmer one night, when you're more patient, when you're trying a new approach, her brain does not celebrate. Her brain checks the file system and asks one question. Is this evidence of real change, or is it a pattern that is about to break down again? And here is a critical error that most men make in that moment. They try to answer that question with words. I have changed. I am different. Give me a chance to show you. But words do not update that file. Only behavior does. And not just any behavior. Behavior in the exact moment that she expects you to fail. That is the number one rule. She does not need you to show up perfectly in perfect conditions. She needs you to show up differently in the exact conditions where you have always broken down. So let me tell you about a man named Jacob. Jacob ran a construction company, 40 employees, projects across 3 states. He was the kind of leader his crew would follow anywhere, to hell and back. Jacob was on the job site. Jacob was unshakable. Pressure did not rattle him. Problems did not stop him. He had a plan for everything. But at home, the moment his wife pushes back on him, the moment that she questioned something or brought up pain from the past, Jacob disappeared. Not physically, he would still be sitting there, but the shutters would just come down. He would go quiet. He would put one-word answers between himself and whatever that she needed. And he would wait for the storm to pass. He told me, I thought staying calm meant staying out of it. I thought giving her space was leadership. But here's what Jacob did not understand. His wife was not afraid of conflict. His wife was afraid of abandonment dressed up as silence. Every time he went cold, every time he went quiet and waited it out, she logged another data point into the case file. He cannot hold this weight. He cannot meet me with it. He's not safe. After 7 years of that pattern, she had stopped bringing things up to him at all. She stopped coming to him. And Jacob interpreted her distance as indifference, as not caring, as her giving up. But that is not what was happening. What was happening is called a bleeding point. Not the silence, not the coldness, the wound underneath it. Years of reaching for a man who kept stepping back in the exact moment that she needed him the most. And no date night was touching that wound. No flowers, no I love you, because none of those things happened inside the moment that wrote the file. This is what I want you to sit with. Inside the heroic husband method, one of the first things that we teach is the distance between symptoms and bleeding points. Your wife speaks in symptoms. She talks about the dishes, the schedule, the distance, that one argument for 3 years ago that she keeps bringing up. But those are not the real issues. Underneath every symptom is a bleeding point, a core wound, a deeper fear that has been accumulating weight every time that she felt unseen, unsafe, unprotected, and unheard. Until you learn to see the whole forest instead of the single tree that she is pointing at, you will keep having the same conversation over and over. And she will keep pulling further away because you're treating the symptoms instead of the wound. Now let's go to the second layer of this. Because underneath the prediction model and underneath the bleeding points, that is the foundation. But there is something specific that you need to understand about the triggers. Every couple has them. Trigger moments are not random. They are the exact recurring situation where the case file was built. The moment you get defensive when she criticizes your parenting, the moment that she brings up the same thing for what feels like the 100th time, the moment that you come home exhausted and she needs you anyways, the moment that she questioned a decision you have already made, those are not just uncomfortable moments. Those are the moments that create the prediction. And they are the moments that can rewrite it. That is something I call, inside the heroic husband method, the old you versus new you contrast. And I want to explain what that actually means because most men misunderstand it. The contrast is not about performing patience in easy moments. It is not about being kind when kindness costs you nothing. It is about recognizing the trigger and deliberately responding from a new place. It looks like saying this out loud. In the past, I would have gotten offensive here. That is not where I am anymore. Not because it is a script, because it is a declaration of maturity made visible in real time. Inside the heroic husband method, I teach something called conscious seeds. What you say backed by what you actually do, planted in the exact right moment. And the reason that matters is that her subconscious brain, the part that built the prediction model, is paying more attention to what you do in hard moments than anything you say in the easy moments. When you hold yourself together in the moment that she expected you to fall apart, her brain receives new data. Not proof, not certainty, just new data. And that is how the file starts to shift. But here is where most men blow it. They show up differently for 2 weeks, maybe 3, and she does not respond the way that they expect. She's still cold, distant, and guarded. And the man thinks that this is not working. Nothing I do matters. She's already gone. And then he goes back to the old patterns and she updates the file again. See? Same guy. That is what I call the recalibration gap. And it is one of the most important things that you need to understand about this process. When you first start showing up differently, her silence is not rejection, it's observation. She's watching, she's recalibrating, and she's running new data against the existing file and asking one question. Is this new him or is it a new pattern? That is about to break down again. Think about it this way. Imagine a weather system that has produced nothing but storm for 7 years straight. One clear day does not change how you dress in the morning. You do not look outside and say, well, the drought is over. You say, let's wait and see. That is your wife right now. She has lived through too many promising starts that ended the same way. She's not being unfair, she's being logical. And the man who understands this does not get frustrated when she does not respond the right way. He gets more committed because he understands that her continued distance is not evidence that it is hopeless. It is evidence that she needs more data before she recalibrates. And the only way that she gets that data is if you show up differently in the hard moments, long after it'd be easy to stop. Now I want to go one layer deeper because understanding the prediction model, understanding the triggers, and understanding the recalibration gap, that is critical. There's something underneath all of it that determines whether any of this works. Inside the heroic husband method, there is a principle called the feminine mirrors and multiplies. And it is one of the most important things that a man in your position can understand. Here's what I mean. Your wife does not respond to what you were saying. She responds to what she feels radiating from you underneath what you were saying. If you show up calmer on the surface, but underneath you're still anxious, still seeking approval, and still performing change because you're terrified that she's going to leave, she feels that. She feels the desperation underneath the patience. She feels the neediness under the effort, and she feels the performance under the words. And her subconscious brain, the one running the prediction model, is far more sensitive to that energy underneath your behavior then to the behavior itself. That is why men who try to fake their way to change never actually get there. She does not just see you, she feels you. And what she feels tells her everything that your words are trying to hide. So I will go back to Jacob here. After Jacob started working through the heroic husband, he began to understand what was actually happening. He stopped waiting for the storms to pass. He started learning to step into them. One evening, his wife brought up an argument from 3 years ago. I think it might have been even 4. A moment that he thought was closed and done in the past. His old self would have gone cold, would have said, We've been over this. I thought we moved past it. Instead, he stayed present. He looked to her and said, I hear you, that you're hurt. I did not understand the weight of that when it happened. I want to understand it now. She did not suddenly fall in love with him again, but she cried. Not because he was perfect, because he showed up in the exact moment she had predicted he would not. The moment did not fix everything, but it cracked the prediction. And when the prediction cracks, the possibility of something new starts to breathe. That is number one rule. Not be better in general, show up differently in the specific moments that she has been trained to expect you to fail. In the heroic husband method, this is not a concept that we just talk about. It is something that we build a structured roadmap around because there is a sequence to hit this. There is a specific order in which the healing happens. And that sequence matters because if you go too deep, too fast without the foundation safety in place, you do not open her up, you actually push her further away. The emotional layering protocol at the core of the heroic husband method is built in 3 stages: healing, shifting, and bonding. Each one has specific tools, specific frameworks, specific conversations that are built to do one thing. Take her prediction apart piece by piece and replace it with evidence of someone she does not fully recognize yet. Someone new, someone safer, someone she did not think you could become. And that shift, when it happens, is not manufactured. It is not something you talked her into. It is something that she arrived at because that data in the file changed. Here is why I need you to understand the bigger picture of all this. When I started the heroic husband method, I did not build it just for marriages. I built it because I believe that when one man steps up and actually does this work, something larger shifts. His kids grow up watching a man who leads instead of retreats, who stays instead of disappears, who holds the weight instead of dropping it. Those kids carry that into the world, into their own relationships, into their own families. The family is the first institution that every person is shaped by, and the man is the one who sets the emotional climate of that institution. When that man grows, everything built on top of it gets stronger. And that is why this matters beyond your marriage. I have worked with hundreds of men, entrepreneurs running 8-figure companies, veterans who lead teams under fire, executives who have managed hundreds of people, men who mastered everything outside the home and felt completely powerless inside of it. And in every case, the breakthrough did not come from learning the better words. It came from understanding exactly what your wife's prediction was and showing up differently in the exact moment that prediction ran. One trigger at a time, one moment at a time, consistently over time, without needing her to respond immediately to keep going. That is the kind of man the heroic husband method builds. Not a man who performs change, a man who becomes it. If this is the man that you want to be, if you are ready to stop guessing and start working from a real structured plan, the link is in the description, is your next step. Go book a free call with me and my team. We will look at exactly where you are, what is driving her distance, what the specific trigger moments are in your marriage, and what the path forward looks like for your specific situation. Not generic advice, a real roadmap built around your marriage. And if you're not ready for the call, the Heroic book is also in the description, or you can find us on Amazon. It goes deep into the frameworks, the principles behind the prediction model, and what it actually takes to start rebuilding trust when she is checked out. Both links are in the description below. Take action on at least one of them today, because the man who keep watching and never actually moves is still confirming the same prediction. And the man who decides right now that he is going to show up differently in the moments that matter, he is already beginning to change. The number one rule is not about grand gestures. It is not about perfect words or perfect timing. It is about showing up differently in the exact moments that she has always seen you fail, over and over, without needing immediate results to keep you going. That is what breaks the prediction model. That is what starts to rebuild the file. That is what changes everything. I'm Noah Allen, and I will see you in the next one.